All right, let's just dive right into this. Today, we're going to completely strip away that mythical, legendary aura of the year 600 BC to experience what an ordinary day was actually like in the greatest city on Earth. Welcome to this explainer. We aren't just going to sit around talking about dusty kings and old legends today. No, we're stepping directly into the mud, the markets, and the magic of ancient Babylon to see exactly how this incredible civilization operated, literally from sunrise to midnight.
So, here is your itinerary for surviving exactly 24 hours in this ancient metropolis. We'll start at the muddy riverbanks at dawn, navigate the bustling global market, take in the wonders and rituals, brave the demon-filled night, and finally, look at Babylon's lasting legacy.
Section 1. Dawn at the Euphrates. Waking up in the ancient world's largest metropolis.
Imagine waking up here as the sun rises over the flat Mesopotamian plain. You're standing in an urban center governed by King Nebuchadnezzar II, and the scale is just staggering. You've got roughly 200,000 people packed inside these massive walls that stretch on for miles. It's the undeniable center of the known world. I mean, the sheer density of human life here is absolutely unlike anything else on the planet at this time. And running right through the middle of all these people is the literal lifeblood of the city, the river.
Now, this really highlights the crazy high stakes of their everyday existence. See, unlike Egypt, where the Nile flood was super predictable, the Euphrates River is violent. It's completely unpredictable. If you get too much water, your field's drowned. Too little, and, well, you starve. They had to rely on this incredibly fragile, elaborate system of canals and levees. A single missed maintenance day basically meant a collapsed system. So there's a tremendous daily burden on the people to control this chaotic force of nature just to survive.
So, how are people actually interacting with this river at dawn? Well, as women are carrying these heavy clay jars of brown river water back to their homes, because remember, there are no elaborate Roman-style aqueducts here, fishermen are already out there floating by in these ancient vessels called kufas. They look almost like giant floating baskets, completely waterproofed with bitumen. It's a design that's worked for thousands of years, and the fishermen are out there, right at dawn, catching carp and catfish for the busy midday market.
Section 2. The bustling global market. Entering the legendary Ishtar Gate.
As the morning builds, you leave the riverbanks and head into the commercial district. And to do that, you walk through the absolutely legendary Ishtar Gate. You pass through this massive gate made of impossible blue glazed bricks, some 60 feet high, and suddenly, bam, the noise just hits you. You're in a multilingual commercial district where trade routes from the east and the west totally converge. Interestingly, Babylon actually lacks its own stone, metal, and timber. But because they are this absolute agricultural powerhouse, exporting massive amounts of grain and dates, they draw in immense wealth. They're pulling in copper from Anatolia, tin from Afghanistan, luxurious lapis lazuli from Persia, incense from Arabia, and timber from Lebanon. It's a real global market happening right there in the streets.
Naturally, with all this commerce comes a massive need to keep track of it all. Let's say you need a barley loan to plant your field. You'd pay a scribe a bit of silver to perform this incredibly meticulous legal process. They form a lump of wet clay, press a reed stylus into it to create that famous wedge-shaped cuneiform writing, and then, actually this is fascinating, they roll a carved cylinder seal right across the clay. That rolling acts as your legally binding signature. Then they dry it in the sun and file it away. They literally document every single detail of life.
You know, the really interesting thing is understanding the mindset behind all those clay tablets. The Babylonians were absolutely obsessed with precision. They didn't just measure trade goods, they wanted to measure reality itself. This obsession is exactly what led them to divide the day into 12 double hours, the hour into 60 minutes, and the minute into 60 seconds. They laid the mathematical foundation for the clocks we still use to navigate our own lives today. Pretty wild, right?
Section 3. Wonders, gods, and rituals. Cosmic stakes at the center of the world.
By midday, you're walking near the sprawling palace complex, which brings us to one of history's biggest, most debated mysteries. Did the Hanging Gardens of Babylon actually exist? Later Greek writers beautifully describe these magnificent cascading green terraces built by King Nebuchadnezzar for a homesick Median queen who missed her mountainous homeland. But here's the catch. Absolutely no Babylonian texts or archaeological evidence prove they were ever actually there. Whether it was a real place or just a myth, the story perfectly captures Babylon's reputation as a city that could literally bend nature to its will.
But the real towering wonder, the one that definitely existed, is the 300-foot ziggurat of Marduk. Now, to understand why they built something so colossal, you have to look at their creation myth. In their belief system, Tiamat, this terrifying chaos dragon, threatened everything. The young god Marduk stepped up, defeated her in this epic cosmic battle, and split her body in half to create heaven and earth. As a reward, the other gods built Babylon to be his earthly home. So the ziggurat is essentially the anchor point where heaven and earth connect.
And keeping that cosmic order intact happens every single afternoon. Priests conduct these intense rituals at the ziggurat with very specific daily offerings: sheep, freshly baked bread, local beer, sweet dates, and pure oil. They aren't just doing this out of habit. They genuinely believe, down to their core, that if they skip these rituals, their patron god Marduk will just pack up and abandon them, chaos will return, and the entire universe will literally fall apart. Talk about pressure.
Section 4. Nightfall and the Stars. Inventing Astronomy and Fearing the Dark.
As the sun sets over the ziggurat, our 24 hours transitions into the dark. We move up to the rooftops, where educated priests are laying the groundwork for modern science, even while they fear the night. Up there, they don't separate astronomy from astrology. To them, the heavens are literal divine messages. They fully believe that celestial movements aren't just, rocks floating in space. They directly dictate earthly events like wars, the safety of the king, and the success of the harvest.
Because the cosmic stakes are so incredibly high, they obsessively track these celestial bodies. And their achievements? Absolutely staggering. They mapped the paths of Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. They successfully predicted complex lunar eclipses, and they built sophisticated mathematical models to forecast planetary cycles. They were applying highly advanced mathematics to their religious observations, and later on, the Greeks, the Persians, and eventually modern astronomy would build right on top of this very foundation.
Meanwhile, if you're just an ordinary Babylonian, you aren't up on the ziggurat analyzing the stars. You are hurrying home to a dark, small mud brick house. These houses opened inward to a central courtyard for security. Why? Well, because the unlit city streets at night are terrifying. There is zero street lighting. The people truly believed that malevolent demons and evil spirits lurked in the dark, just waiting to cause disease and bad luck. So you hide inside, you eat your simple barley bread and onions, pray to your protective household spirits, and just hope your family survives the brutal realities of ancient life.
Section 5. Babylon's Lasting Legacy. The Echoes of an Empire in Our Daily Lives. Dawn eventually breaks again, and our 24 hours are up. The physical city of Babylon eventually fell, of course, conquered by the Persians, claimed by Alexander the Great, and eventually turning to ruin. But the profound ideas birthed inside those mud brick walls, they became the absolute bedrock of human civilization. Every single time you check your watch and see a 60-minute hour, or you use a 360-degree circle in geometry, or you plan your 7-day week, you are directly using Babylonian mathematics and timekeeping. Even our fundamental concepts of structured written justice echo right back to Hammurabi's code, which was formulated right in this region. And they didn't just leave us math and laws, they left us literature. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the world's absolute oldest surviving stories. Older than Homer, older than the Bible. And the only reason we could still read it today is because they recorded their genius on immortal clay rather than fragile paper or parchment. When the city fell and was buried, thousands of their legal codes, business receipts, and epic poems just survived for millennia, safely preserved in the heart and mind.
So, while the physical city of Babylon might largely be a ruin in modern Iraq, with pieces of its magnificent Ishtar Gate sitting in a museum thousands of miles away, their monumental ideas, their math, and their stories live on within all of us. They literally shaped how we measure our reality. So if a civilization can disappear into the sand, yet still completely dictate how we tell time today, it leaves us with a thrilling question to end this explainer. Whose ancient footsteps should we uncover and walk in next?